Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. There were three different articles in three different newspapers this week, and they spoke about a common topic: India's image as an attractive investment destination in the minds of international investors. The first article spoke about reservations and blots on India's image as an investment destination. It said that there is no sanctity of commercial contracts which is maintained in India, and that applies not just to the government of India but even to large corporates, both of whom very frivolously, easily, casually renege and go back on signed, executed agreements. The sanctity of those agreements is just not maintained. It then refers to the fact that for enforcing these contracts, for settling commercial disputes in courts, India takes a lot of time. In the case of India, the average time taken by courts to resolve a commercial dispute is 1,445 days. In Singapore, it is 120 days. And in the case of Indonesia, it is 403 days. India, it's 1,445. In the case of likes of New Zealand, it is even lesser than Singapore. But the fact is that commercial contracts get reneged very easily in India, and then when you go to courts, there's a long waiting period before any kind of a judgment comes. The article then refers to the recent cancellation of certain solar contracts which were awarded by the Gujarat government to the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority and also to Temasek, Singapore, both of which have been investing in India in a very profuse and robust manner. It speaks about the fact that the Gujarat government very casually cancelled some solar contracts which were given to these two investors, which is Temasek and ADIA, only because it realized that some favorable, better terms are now available under other contracts. And so, what was already signed and executed with Temasek and ADIA was just simply, blatantly, audaciously cancelled, done away with. It leaves a very dirty taste in the mouth of the investor. It shows stark indifference of the government in respect of the interests of institutional investors. It also shows that the Indian government and institutions lack integrity which is expected of them, because it's that casual that they end up cancelling contracts which had been legally awarded. The article further speaks about the refusal of the Indian government to accept international arbitration awards, and for that, of course, it cites the case of Vodafone and Kane Energy, where international arbitration tribunals have given awards in favor of Vodafone and Kane Energy, and the government of India refuses to accept them and is proposing to go in appeal. That again does not appeal to international investors at all. The article then busts the myth about rising FDI in India. It says that if in the year 2020, India's foreign direct investment inflows went up, it was primarily because of one company, which is the massive investment that came in Reliance Industries Limited. Otherwise, if you look at the figure, he said it's not so impressive. The author then gives certain figures. He talks about percentage of FDI inflows to the GDP of the country and says that this percentage in the case of Vietnam is 4.9%. Vietnam receives FDI equivalent to 4.9% of its GDP. In the case of Indonesia, it says that it is 2.1%, while in the case of India, it is 1.8%. Thus, the article seeks to point out that even the myth of rising FDIs in India is not truly correct. The article thus says that these realities actually show what is the ground situation. It laments again that while India's ease of doing business rankings may have gone up worldwide, but when it comes to enforcing contracts, India is at such a lowly position that it competes with the likes of Zimbabwe and Afghanistan in the matter of honoring commercial contracts, which speaks volumes about the state of affairs. The next article that we are referring to is an interview with the regional head of the Development Finance Corporation, a government of USA body, which has been investing in India along with the private sector. The DFC, or the Development Finance Corporation, has been operating in India, has been investing in India since 1974. It has invested in 200 projects so far, and at the moment, it has an exposure of $2.5 billion in 50 projects that it has invested in along with the private sector. The DFC regional head says that India is in great need of investment. He says that India has a huge bunch of talented and educated entrepreneurs, and to tap them, the government needs to reduce the bureaucratic interference which takes place in India. In other words, bureaucratic interference is a huge no-no when it comes to investment in India. It is a huge hindrance, it's a huge obstacle to investment in India. He then says that India needs to adopt reforms in order to protect the investment, in order to protect the investor. If that is done according to him, it will create a welcoming environment for the investor such that investors would want to make India their preferred investment destination. That was the second article, an interview with the DFC head who laments about bureaucratic interference in India and the need for reforms. The third article talks about vested anti-India lobbies operating in the West who have been running an anti-India narrative. They have taken advantage of the farmers' protest. They took advantage of Disha Ravi's arrest. They took advantage of the fact that journalists have been arrested in India for very frivolous reasons on cooked up charges of sedition. And they have been running this narrative in order to paint India in not the best of light. This was the third article which spoke about India's image abroad. All these three articles in a combined manner raise a very quite common question. Is India a great investment destination as we want to make it out to be? The Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, the other ministers, the bureaucrats, they all have been claiming that India is a great investment destination. They have been saying that with the reduced tax rates in India, with the improved ease of doing business in India, India is the most preferred investment destination. The question that arises, especially after you go through these articles, is what is the kind of truth in this statement, in this contention of the Prime Minister and his other ministers? If you look at it from a very neutral position, India can be and should be a very attractive, the most preferred investment destination for investors abroad. And there are many reasons why India can be such a destination. The first one is India continues to be an underdeveloped nation. There's a huge backlog. There's a giant need for investment in the country. Just the infrastructure segment has an investment backlog of $1.5 trillion. That's the kind of money that India as an economy can fruitfully absorb and put to productive use. So the first one is there is a need to invest in India. India needs investments. The second one is a democracy. India continues to be a solid, vibrant democracy. It is not an autocracy. There is a rule of law. There is a defined system of politics and governance in the country. And that should ordinarily give a sense of certainty, a sense of stability, which should attract any investor. The third is India's demographics. At the moment, India's demographics are in a very sweet spot. Almost 60% of India's population is a young population. It is a population which has got demand. It is a population which has got unmet aspirations. And it is this very population which supplies the workers, which supplies the employees, and they also become the consumers. Thus, the demographics of India present a giant market for any international investor to tap. And because of that, again, India becomes an attractive investment destination. Then we have a bunch of talented, determined, educated investors and entrepreneurs who have been fighting all odds in order to set up their base in India. Our entrepreneurs are talented, they are determined, they are tenacious, and that again makes India a good destination to partner with. Further, as a nation, India is very well globally integrated in all kinds of pacts, in all kinds of institutions, and it commands a certain respect. That again should make a country a good investment destination to absorb more and more foreign investment into the country. India then has a unique advantage of a giant NRI global footprint. Our non-resident Indians are true brand ambassadors of India and they are spread all over the world. A recent report had said that there are dozens of countries in the world where Indians are occupying top political, bureaucratic and corporate positions. And that automatically helps to extend India as an attractive investment destination for others. Moreover, India is perceived that if it gets its act together, it can be an extremely attractive, low-cost destination, not just for services, but for manufacturing also. Theoretically, India is a place where there is a rule of the law and there is a functioning judiciary that also should give comfort to investors in a big way. And finally, as the finance minister often says, today, corporate tax in India is extremely competitive. 15% is the tax rate for new companies getting into manufacturing sector, and that also should attract foreign investment in India in a big way. If you look at these advantages, these strengths of India, they are certainly very impressive. But despite that, we don't seem to get our act together. We don't seem to become the most preferred investment destination in the world. And there is a very clear reason for it. Investors more and more do not see India as a safe investment destination. And that's because of the kind of corruption we have, the kind of red tapeism we have, the kind of complex and uncertain laws we have that keep changing at a short notice and probably make an entire project completely non-viable. We have a government which actually lacks integrity in the way it goes back on contracts, in the way it refuses to honor contracts, and in the way it does not live up to its word, whether spoken or written. The meddling in businesses, the meddling in corporates, the meddling in institutions by babus and neta is yet another huge risk factor. Then we have courts. We have courts which are many, but are extremely slow moving, extremely expensive, and very uncertain. And then we have an infrastructure deficit. With all these, they ensure that India does not become such an attractive investment destination as it can be. The fact of the matter is, it can be extremely profitable to invest in India with its kind of market that it has. It attracts, it gives the opportunity for giving huge profits. But then, what is the use of getting attracted by profits when the very safety of your capital can be in doubt? And that is what plagues India. If we are able to ensure that international investors feel comfortable that their investments are safe, then even if their estimates of profits go wrong, they will not mind it. But when, because of some kind of a government going back on contracts, the government not honoring its word, the very safety of investments goes in doubt, no investor will want to make India an attractive destination. And that's where the problem lies. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Hello everyone. HW News English is 2 years old now. When we started this venture, we promised ourselves one thing, that news should remain free, because right to know is the right of every Indian. But to keep news free for everyone, we need support from some of you. And thus we have rolled out membership on our YouTube channel HW News English. But mind you, the membership is completely voluntary. The programs that we were doing earlier, that we are doing now, will continue to remain free. First level is a basic level. Here, you can be our supporter by paying Rs 199 per month. This membership gives you certain perks and benefits. The perks include unique badges in front of your name, a live show from Mr. Sujit Nair and from Mr. Akhilesh Bhargava per month for our members. You can also vote in some exclusive members-only polls. Now the second level is Super Supporter. Here you can be our Super Supporter by paying Rs 3,999 per month. This membership will include every perk that comes with basic level. Additionally, our Super Supporters can be a part of a WhatsApp group where we can have discussions and suggestions on various topics. The second perk includes a gift pack with our merchandise. And the third perk is a Google Meet with Mr. Sujit Nair, where you can join the meet and ask your questions to Mr. Nair face to face. Lastly, if you like, we would give a shout out to our super supporters in our programs. So, hope to see you soon with our badges.